Hmm. Wonderful friend. Welcome. Welcome to Raw and Unfiltered. We are unleashed minus Malcolm. Still, of course, waiting for Malcolm, the spy who ditched us. That should be the name of our new book. You know, Lev, the spy who ditched us.
He's always up to some shit. Yeah. Last time I spoke to him, he was in Paris. I don't know. I don't know where he is now, but he said he was gonna join. So I'm surprised that hope he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear from him. I was anticipating it too. I know our community, our group are always
Let me see.
interested
Let me
in
check.
hearing the Malcolm Nance perspective. So, let's see what ends up happening. Lev, we lost you as well.
No,
Um,
I'm checking. I'm texting Malcolm. 1 second.
oh, I see. That's good. So while we have an audience here, right? I already have the invite into him. He'll jump on if he's able to. So there's so much that's going on. Did you just listen to Caroline Levitt? Did you listen to bullshit Barbie with the nonsense that's coming out of her mouth? I mean, again, this entire thing regarding Jeffrey Epstein, none of this is necessary, by the way. None of it. If in fact, they released the files, none of these conspiracy theories, none of these hypothetical, because and we've had this discussion online, offline. I don't buy into hypotheticals. I don't buy into innuendo. As a lawyer, as a guy who was a litigator, and I rely upon facts. That's either in law, documentary evidence, as it's called, or corroborating testimony. Now,
The only thing I do have to stop you on that, Michael, which as a lawyer also we have two sets of ways of looking, like what you said right now, as far as documents or facts or something, those things, the way I look at it, they're called more like smoking gun. Those are like
I think you mean circumstantial evidence.
that's what I'm talking about. There's another thing called circumstantial evidence, where if it smells like a dog, if it's
No, that's not what circumstantial evidence is.
what circumstantial evidence is, my understanding, and stop me if I'm wrong, and that if right now, as we're talking, I hear thunder outside and I hear raining, but I don't see it, and then I come outside and it's all wet outside, I could circumstantially evidence say that it rained outside. I mean, like something like that. So what I'm saying here, obviously, that's the point I'm getting at when it comes to something with
Okay, but we have to examine. You're right, because people have been found guilty on circumstantial evidence. I don't know. You're standing over a body, right? The body is dead, right? There is a presumption that you might have been the one that caused the death. I get it. Just because there are 20 or 30 or 50 photos of two people together does not mean that a crime was committed.
Oh,
Even
absolutely.
though we know that Jeffrey Epstein was certainly involved in child trafficking.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think we agree, and I think we're just going past each other, because I agree with you. I think what you're talking about is you don't believe that there's anything bombshells about Donald Trump and Epstein. I agree with you on that. That's now I'm understanding. I actually agree, and even I don't think he would have stopped it. I think even if there was, because it's already out there known that he had a relationship with him. He knew each other. They ran in the same circles. They were neighbors. There's pictures. There's
pictures, right?
Right.
And the pictures don't lie.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think, because, and also I think if there was any concrete proof of Donald Trump doing something illegal, even though Merrick Garland, we all agree, is not the best out there and everything, but I truly believe that by now we would have already had some sort of. I mean, even Marie Comey. I mean, she was one of the prosecutors on the. I mean, somebody would have stepped out and said, "Listen, this is what's going on." I think it's more he's covering up for somebody or some other people or some country
Look,
or
let me say something here for a second, right? Because our community are like, please, it's you're wrong and so on. No, no, no. Let me be clear. My position is we don't need to come up with circumstantial evidence. We don't need to try to connect the dots. The dots are there, sitting in a file. They're documents that were collected by the FBI, by law enforcement, going back to before 2016. Okay? Those documents exist. All we need is the ability to see them, to decipher them. And in this specific case, deciphering them is merely reading them. That's all that we need to know. And then you start with people and they're like, oh, well, Jeffrey Epstein was the Mossad agent for Israel. And my question I asked somebody earlier, if if Jeffrey Epstein was the Mossad agent, how would you ever know about it? When was the last time you turned around and you said, "Oh, you know what? Lev Parnas is a an FBI agent. He's an undercover. He's the CIA operative." How the hell would you know that he's a Mossad agent?
Well, I'll tell you, I had actually on my Substack Zev Shavella, and he did a reporting on it. And again, no conclusive. When there's no smoking gun, like you said, there's no contract that he worked for the Mossad. But there was two very hardcore facts. And again, not as far as Mossad agent. I'm not going to go as far as he was an agent, but
Or an
but
asset?
I do believe that he was an asset to not only Israel but to the United States. I do believe that from more information I'm starting to gather behind the scenes, and like Zev turned around from his relationship to certain, the ex prime minister of Israel that would come visit him while he was the prime minister, and they have even pictures of him hiding, trying to get into Epstein's house. Maxwell's relationship and Maxwell's father relationship with the Mossad, with Israel, very, strong. And because, him owning the papers, which back then was the source before internet, that was the source of this information and stuff like that. So I definitely, again, I agree with you that they should release it. I agree with you
Yeah.
I agree with you that we should not be sitting here guessing. But this is what the only thing I am saying, that there is the reason why he's not releasing it, and that is the problem, is because he's covering up. Because I don't think there's no smoking a major gun about any Democrats or any Republicans. Because I think if there was, he would release it. He would have at least released that. He would use that if
But
there
you
was.
see, here's the problem, right? And again, listen to even the language that you and I are saying right now to our community. And by the way, folks, I don't know how many times and how many episodes that Lev and I and Malcolm, if he would ever show up, would turn around and say to you, please continue to smash those red hearts. It helps to build this community. And then that little square with the up arrow, share this with your family, friends, neighbors, and so on. We must build this community. I went on this other show before and I was blown away, right? I mean, we're talking about, people that are being supported by Substack. I'm talking about, there are a group of people who are being supported by the executive team there at Substack. I don't know what type of a relationship or why, but they had merely 2,000, 2,100 people. We're not supported by Substack. We're supported by you. There is no two people right now on this platform, on any platform, that know more about what's going on based upon being in the room than Lev Parnas and myself. So if you want to hear facts, come to this room. If you want to hear somebody read MSNBC, CNN, Fox, or ABC, CBS, whatever it might be, well, maybe we're not the right place for you. But if we are, And I truly hope that we are, because our goal is to build the biggest community, not 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. And people say, well, it's impossible. It's impossible. Nothing is impossible. And if we do that, I assure you, like with my Substack, where I'm turning around and I'm talking about complacency is the virus right now of America. That's what got us into this situation and the mistakes that are being made. I was watching a program before I came on. I saw I was going on. Ken Martin was on somebody's Substack. Nice guy whose Substack he was on, but he's sitting there. It's like me sometimes when I'm watching Fox News, Lev. I'm like, what fucking universe? What dystopian universe, right, are they living in? It's like when I would watch back side by side, I would split the screen into whether it's CNN and Fox or MSNBC and Fox. And I'm like, these are two different worlds that we're talking about. It's like you have Earth, and then you have Bizarro Land. And the two of them are completely diametrically opposed on the exact same issue. Well, that's the same thing coming out of Ken Martin's mouth. And I don't want to shit on the guy. I wouldn't know him if I ran him over in my car. I know what he looks like now, but I've never spoken to him. I never met him. I'm sure he's a fine man. But right now, the fucking DNC is doing nothing. And he's sitting there talking about how they are actively out there. Really? Seriously? You're actively out there and Michael Cohen doesn't know what you're doing? Seriously? You think that
I
a
don't even
guy
know
who
I don't even know who
testified,
he is.
right?
I
You think, Lev, have you been contacted by the DNC at all?
no, no.
Other than maybe getting a text message for them for money. Have
Oh,
you
buddy, yeah.
received have you received any information on anything that they're doing?
Not only that, but
Zilch.
not only that, but me and you both, and I know we've called, we've offered our services, we've spoken to, yeah, 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 ba ba ba, baby boo, ba ba ba, and then they go off. I mean, that's why I talk about it, you talk about it, we write about it. Right now. You have just think about this, guys. You have the most biggest up. We have the biggest opportunity right now that was literally handed to us. Forget about what the reasoning was. But nobody thought that right now Trump was going to go against his base and we're going to see such a blow up as that we're seeing right now. Maybe later on, but what we're seeing serious, serious damage. And right now, there's nobody in the DNC. There's no leadership. I mean, you have Rokana standing there talking a little bit about putting in this bill. You have Jamie Raskin out there, but that's it. But you don't have no like leadership out there that's taking charge and that's going out there that's putting on these right now. Right now, the DNC should be calling me and Michael and saying, "Hey guys, we're scheduling town halls in all of these areas in Red City where MAGA is because both of you are ex-MAGA, and we need you to go in there and start spreading the word right now. Start getting them over. Start getting these people that right now are pissed that just right now. I'll give you an example, Michael. You just said exactly. Did I watch the Karen Levitt fiasco? I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. I watched most of it because I was running home. But the funny part, right after it ended, there was we had 15 minutes before before we came on. I switched over to Mega Republican Space on Twitter. There was about 4,000 people on there right now. Pretty big space, all hardcore mega. I know most of them because I've over the years. And I go on and I went on as anonymous. So they wouldn't know I'm on there just to listen. And I can't tell you the shit that's coming out of their mouth that I can't even believe that I'm hearing. They're literally talking about how Karen Levitt is a lying piece of shit, that she didn't wear her cross today. Listen to what they're saying. That whenever she comes up there and lies, she doesn't wear her cross. When she, I mean, they're already talking like. I mean, they're going at. It's becoming like literally personal in the attacking. So what I'm saying to you is, yes, they're not gonna. The whole Trump base is not going to get destroyed. Let's call a spade a spade. We're not going to have everybody run over and vote for Democrats. No, but remember, we're talking about such slim margins all over the place that if we get a couple of percent here, a couple of percent there, and take these opportunities, that's why it's important. That's why right now the DNC should be partnering up with us, going all over the country, doing ads right now, doing personal POVs. Go, I mean, right now running ads all over the place, going doing speaking arrangements. Do I mean instead? I mean, zero,
Cricket,
nothing, crickets,
cricket.
zero, zero.
I mean, it's crazy. You're trying to offer them assistance. They don't know what they're doing. They don't understand how to fight this fight. Oh well, I know what we're going to do. We're going to run ads, and how we're going to run the ads. We're going to go raise more money. So send me $5, $10, $50, $100, and you say to yourself, for what? No, no, no. For what? For another pathetic loser ad that's completely off base, that does nothing?
Or
Absolutely nothing within which to turn one mind? Not a single one.
Or they concentrated. The biggest problem, which what's worrying me about what I'm seeing is their messaging. The Democratic messaging is primary towards the Democratic people.
Yep.
They don't have a message. So these are people they're going to vote for you anyway. I tell them all the time. I said
Right.
you're. It's like you're in an echo chamber. You're
You're
speaking.
preaching to the choir. That's
Right,
all that they're
right,
doing.
and when they're going out there, and that's when I had a debate with somebody. Somebody said to me a while ago, "Look at what AOC and Bernie did. Look, they got 30,000 people." I said, "Look, I'm not trying to shit on your parade, but those 30,000 people are hardcore Bernie AOC. They showed up to support. Yeah, what you didn't get, independents, and you didn't get MAGA, you didn't get Republicans there that said, oh shit, I'm agreeing with what Bernie or AOC saying. No, they came there to support them. So I mean, it was just a big party. It's not making a dent, and it's supposed to, the media is running with it. Oh my God, it's a waste of money. And just think about how much money they waste and doing all of these. The ads, like Michael said, what I'm saying to you, we should be targeting strategically. I remember when in the what's it called, even in the 2015 race, even you remember what's his name, Brad Pascal, and the
Yep.
guy. I mean, these guys, as bad, you could call them whatever you want. They're some of the nastiest people,
They
but
were good at
but they're
what they did.
thank you, exactly, exactly. They were good at what they did. I mean, they were going out there. I remember getting even technology of people to basically to go on the phones. I remember, and to see which part of the country or like looked up on their stuff, for instance, like which were pro guns, pro Second Amendment, against it, to target where their messaging would be, to literally go in there, not to just waste it. What's it called? And they worked with everybody that had information. The Democrats, it's like I mean, I'm not trying to shit. Me and you've been talking about it. And again, not the Democratic people, not you, the voters, not That's why I hate to say the Democrat.
You
I'm
see, the
telling
funny
you,
thing, Lev, is you're Republican, right? You're a
I'm in,
Republican.
yeah. Well,
I've
I'm
been a
independent.
Democrat. I've been a Democrat virtually my entire life. I mean, my entire life. I testified before 7 congressional committees, 2 grand juries, and the key witness to 2 trials. Not that I wanted to testify at all. I was subpoenaed and forced to. So I did. And I told the truth. And here's the crazy thing also, the information is relevant. This is the type of stuff right now that will ultimately bring back, or hope to bring back, individuals. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to distort the truth, because that's what, I don't know, a lefty, right? A Democratic lefty wants to hear something negative about Trump. And I've said it and I will say it 100 more times. I don't believe that there's anything regarding him with his pants down. It's just my opinion. All right. People turn around and say, well, what about the case that you worked on in 2016 or something like that, that went away? What did you do? Pay them off? No, no, I didn't. That person didn't even exist. It was a Jane Doe, instead, um, by and through her natural guardian, um, Mary Doe, right? A minor. Interesting. Okay. There was an address. I reached out to the lawyer and I said, does your client even exist? So he says, why would you ask me that? So I said, well, I sent an investigator to the location of the plaintiff's address. And I said, it's a vacant parking lot. He's like, what? I said, let me repeat myself. It's a vacant parking lot. So is this a legitimate case? Do you actually know? And he was good enough, and he said, I want to let you know that I'm dropping the case. We've never met our client. Everything was done through the mail because she was afraid of coming forward. And so we accepted the affidavit that she wrote. We accepted the signed documents. And this is the address that, that she gave for the, for her home address. And I said, well, I have a photo, which if you'd like, I'm going to send it to you. This is the address. He dropped the case. There was no underhanded Michael Cohen fixer shit going on here. It's just a fact. Now, there's another case that in 2017 came out. That's the Katie Johnson case. Katie Johnson brought a lawsuit against Trump, very similar in nature to the very first case that was um, that was pulled back by the lawyers, that was dismissed by the lawyers. We were all heading to D.C. at the time. Trump was already in D.C., and I turned that over to outside counsel. I know nothing about that case.
Is that the
All
girl
I
from
know
Brooklyn?
is I remember, what's that?
Is that the girl from Brooklyn?
I think so. And I know that there's a
I I
video.
I know something about that case. She actually, I've been speaking to her behind the scenes. I'm gonna have her on my Substack soon. She's gonna come talk. Maybe we're talking about. We'll see what. I mean, there's a lot to it. She says she got paid off. I'm not gonna go into it right now. And because she took money, then they basically discredited all of her testimony. And again, I'm not gonna go into. We'll speak about. But I'll say this to you, Michael, and listen, I understand your point of view because you are a very factual person. You are a lawyer to begin with. So, to you, what's it called? I'm a little bit more of a, street guy, don't have that same law mentality. And I look at it like this, just knowing the people Donald Trump associated with himself over the years in the 80s and 90s. I'm not talking about 2020 and now recently after he went to, I'm talking about back in like not even the 70s because I wasn't around, but in the 80s and 90s, I know a lot of people he associated himself with, and they were some of them were mobsters, some of them were businessmen that were half mobsters, wannabes, have this. Most of all of them, the mentality back in those days of those people were, women were a tool, and they all liked them young. As disgusting as it is, I never could understand that. It was a different world. That doesn't mean I'm blaming and saying he slept with underage. I've never seen the proof. I'm not going to come out here and say it. I'm not insinuating, but the only thing I will say that people like Epstein, people like Donald Trump, and a lot more like Weinstein and those, uh, uh, are nasty, nasty human beings, the way they think about women, the way they think about women in general, even now. He might not be talking as freely about it right now, but there's enough evidence about the way Donald, by him saying, grab her by the pussy, about him going out there and saying, because I'm rich and famous, I could do that. That's a form of fucking rape. That's a form of fucking sexual abuse to be able to, just because I'm rich and powerful, to come up and grab you. But that's the mentality.
Okay,
Then
right. So hold on, but let's be fair for a second. Um, that's a conversation that he was having with Billy Bush. Stupidly,
But
stupid conversation.
so
Let's
they got
agree to
caught. They got caught. It
okay,
wasn't stupid. That was
let's agree to
fraud.
a couple of things. Let's break it down. Right? Let's spend a few moments as our community here keeps smashing the shit out of those hearts and sharing it. Let's bring in a couple thousand people here. This is important stuff. Let's break it down. The statement that he made, right? You could do whatever you want. You grab him by the pussy. It's a stupid fucking statement. True?
Oh yeah, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. It's even stupider that you had to know that there was a fucking microphone since you were mic'd up for this whatever the Access Hollywood recording. So it's even stupider that you know there's a mic attached to your fucking jersey and you still make a statement like that. True?
Absolutely.
Okay. You got to acknowledge that Billy Bush is an asshole too, giggling and laughing, thinking that this is funny, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Who's the woman that Donald Trump grabbed by the pussy that he was talking about?
I don't recall. Was there? Did they? And if did they name who the woman was? I thought he
They
was.
did. It was allegedly the blonde woman that was there and so on. But here's the funny thing. He actually never did that, right? He talked about it. It's kind of like if you think about it when you
But how
were,
do we know that? How do we know he never did that?
I think she said so.
But see, but this is what I'm saying to you, Michael. This is what I want to add on. But there was another statement he made that was very important that I don't believe he never did. I think again, I think Donald Trump, when it comes to these innuendos, happens to be like a lot of tax evaders. Not every tax evader gets caught. You just the ones that get caught are a big deal. But there's so many out there that don't pay their taxes and they're never brought to what's it called. Same thing with these, abusers, women abusers, child abusers, all kind of. Until they get caught, that's why you see some people doing it for years. Some people do it for 20 years. Then they get caught. It's a big case.
So
Some
E.
people.
Jean Carroll brought out the fact
Eugene
that there,
Carroll.
okay,
No, no,
that,
no. Let me just finish one thing. What he said, another statement he said is, remember, he used to own the Miss Universe or Miss Pageant, whatever that was called, and he made another comment. He said he used to walk in because he owned it. Walk in while they were changing. These young girls, they were all basically 18, 19, just barely, legal at the time. Walking in while they were changing because, oh, I think Malcolm is here, bro. See if you could send somebody said Malcolm is here.
I
I
don't
didn't
think
see.
so. Malcolm sent me a text that there's no Wi-Fi, but I'll give it a shot anyway.
Yeah, send it right quick.
I have a great response to what you're going to say. Keep going, pal.
No, no. I mean, go ahead. You could respond. I mean, I'm basically saying. I mean, that
So
he.
we all know that the comment that Trump made about being able to walk into the back area, that's the makeup changing area for the Miss Universe, the Miss USA pageant, or even the Miss Teen USA pageant, it all fell under the umbrella of the Miss Universe organization. Okay?
Mhm.
There were three members of the board for Miss Universe. Donald Trump being one of them, Alan Weisselberg, the CFO, was the second, and I was the third. I went to many of these three felons, by the way. I went to many of these pageants, not only as a board member, but because Trump wanted me to go with him. On many of the occasions, I too went back stage into the dressing areas, the makeup areas and stuff.
Easy, easy, Michael. You
Hold
keep
on.
on watching.
Hold
Easy.
on 1 second. Hold on. I never saw a woman with her clothes off. There was never an area that I was with Trump the entire time, that women were topless or naked as he described it. You know that Donald Trump has the ability to make shit up, right?
Oh, 100%. But see,
Okay.
I think this is. I
So
think.
I
Oh,
believe that he was saying it in order to sort of impress you. Oh, because these young ladies are they're beautiful. And what he was trying to say is, I can do whatever I want. It's a grotesque statement, but anytime that we went backstage, I can tell you the most I ever saw was a girl getting her hair curled or makeup applied. I never saw a single one, even in her bra or underwear or even in a bathing suit. So my point is, one thing that we have to acknowledge is the truth, is the fact that Donald Trump does not tell the truth.
oh, that 100%. And look, I think we're maybe it would, and for the everybody out there to understand is Michael's giving his personal dealings with Donald Trump, and
I
this is
was
where I
there.
think right, but where I think where we're going past each other, and what I'm saying is when you started being with them, that was what 2000 what seven. When did you what 2008?
Well,
When
2005, I started working with them,
2005?
but 2007 is when I
Okay.
joined full
But
time.
either way, right? 2005, six. It's irrelevant. What I'm saying to you is the behavior that I'm talking about, Donald Trump and all of this, primarily transpired during the 70s, 80s, and 90s. After in the late 1990s and early 2000, the shift changed very heavily of the way you could talk to women, act to women, and deal, and it was looked a lot differently. Yes, we still didn't have the Me Too movement yet, but it was already, the shift was happening tremendously. So yes, and now that Donald Trump that we're talking about, when you met him, when you were with him that was already a Donald Trump that spoke about stories. Yeah, he bullshitted, lied, but in a lot of those lies and bullshit, there was a lot of truth that happened back in the days. So again, I don't have no factual evidence, and I don't think Donald Trump right now at 80 years old or at 60 was running around and doing the things that they're talking about. But I would bet everything that I had, just knowing the people he was around and knowing the era, the time, knowing him, that in the 80s and 90s, he did abuse women. He did he was a sexual predator. He did like them young. He did, I don't know if he's actually went that far as to do it or didn't. That's something that we're still, this is why these Epstein files, and this is why,
You
people.
just answered my. You just literally answered my point. You validated my point. This is exactly why we need those files to be released.
Oh, I agree with you.
Whether I believe he did it or not, whether you, Lev, believe that he did it or not, whether Mary or Scott or Tom or Joe, whether you believe that Donald did it or not, it's irrelevant. It's just an opinion. I don't like opinions, especially when there is a file that's sitting on the attorney general's desk that can give us the answers that are factually accurate based upon law enforcement investigation into this disgraceful behavior. Plain and simple. I don't want to have to guess anymore. I don't want to have to hypothesize or find some innuendo or try to connect the dots. I want facts. And what I really want is I want those facts if it turns out that there are individuals that participated in this shit, and we obviously know that there were, that they be held accountable and that they be confronted by the justice system. That's what I want. So why they're refusing to release it, that's the part that angers me, which, by the way, Lev, is very different than the reasons why MAGA wants it. You see,
Oh,
MAGA
right.
wants it because they are of the mindset, and Malcolm is not in the House right now. All right. If he was, he would have joined. MAGA wants it because they were told a heaping pile of bullshit for years that this is all a Democratic elite cabal of sex trafficking to the highest degree. And they want that in order to pounce because they have been fed, again, this stew of bullshit. And that's why they're furious right now, because they're not getting it. And they're not getting it not because of Democrats, as Caroline Levitt is saying, or even Trump is saying, or others are saying. They're not getting it because this administration, by their leader, has told the attorney general not to release it for whatever reason. All right. And I am not a Trump apologist. I am, being David, factually accurate. You are a Trump hater, and that's okay. That's okay. You can absolutely hate the man. Everybody's permitted to feel about anybody the way they want, but I want the facts. I want to see that file unredacted. I want to see that file unredacted so that we don't have to speculate anymore, because speculation is just that. It's not truth. It's also not falsity. It's just speculation.
I agree with you 100% when it comes to speculation. But again, where I push back is saying we have one fact. You and I both not know Donald Trump very well. And that if Donald Trump, the fact that he is not releasing it, the reason he's shutting it down, and the way he's attacking his mega base, then there is something he's hiding. So that is a fact. And what I'm saying, and that's where I started this conversation off with circumstantial evidence. And yes, we agree on the same thing that the public, the people, we should all see this evidence. But the thing that I think where we're going a little bit past each other is because I don't believe we will see this evidence. Because I don't think Donald Trump is going to release it. I think he put himself in the, but not only I know for a fact he put himself in the box because even being on these mega spaces because of the way now he's come out and said that he's going to maybe if there's anything real, release it. Meaning, if now how do we know if it's doctored? The interesting part also what Donald Trump did yesterday that a lot of people missed, Michael, is he called in his old group of mega influencers, the original OG, I call him. He called in John Solomon. John Solomon is somebody for you guys that, if you remember, was part of my BLT team. Me, Rudy, John Solomon, and what's their names? Victoria Tunzing and Joe DeGeneva, all of Trump's lawyers. So I've said it for many years that John Solomon went under the radar. People, for some reason, he's no journalist. He's a direct source between Trump, Fox, and a lot of other situations, especially Cash Patel. Cash Patel was his guy. Devin Nunes, Cash Patel, all of these guys. So yesterday, he did interview with him where now Trump is coming out and saying that maybe they're going to put a special prosecutor on the situation. This is all part of to change history, change the narrative. Because at the end of the day, whatever now comes out is nobody will it has zero credibility because the way the story shifted so many times. We went from the list is on my desk to there is no list, there is nothing, it's all shut down, to all of a sudden release what you have,
And
to all of a sudden now let's get a special
and the
prosecutor.
funny thing is now we know that that's a lie. All right.
Oh, it's all over.
That's irrefutable. When
Correct.
you have somebody say, it's like I turn around and I say, yeah, I don't have a bottle of water in my hand. You're watching me. You're seeing that there's a bottle of water in my hand, right? How about this though? The point I'm trying to make, there is a bottle in my hand. How do you know that it's water? What if it's vodka? Right? You don't know that, but you know I have something in my hand. Here's the difference. Pam Bondi, our attorney general, told us that there is a client list sitting on her desk, plain and simple. And now all of a sudden, well, it wasn't really a client list. It was a file that turned out not to be what I thought it was. Really? So are you kidding me? Let me be clear to like Natasha or to others. I am not on Donald Trump's side. I am on the side of what's true. All right. And I am withholding right now my opinion on whether I believe that Trump is in it or he's not. Now, knowing him the way I do, I would I would put my money that he is not, but that doesn't mean I am right. I would like to hold off and I would like the file released so that I don't have to guess. That's the point I'm making. And that's the relevance of what this is all about. So the hope is that this does not, like so many other things, get buried over time based upon new chaos that gets created by this administration. And that's what I fear. I fear that they're going to do something or many things that will ultimately drown out. How come we've already forgotten about so many of the different things that have taken place that that were so despicable? We forget about them because they're 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, 4 months ago, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, whatever happened to that? I don't know. We moved on to the next catastrophe, right?
No, absolutely. Listen, one of the things I keep writing in all my Substacks and I keep talking live that no matter what we talk about, I'll always end it off. And, I'll remind everybody right now is a good time as ever, is that we need to keep our eye on the ball of what really is happening. Yes, this is important, the Epstein stuff, but it's important for the cracks and it's important to be able to now, get some voters, get some people off and break that mega cult base. But it's not important when it comes to what our policies, our constitution, or things that are being taken away from us every day. The most important one that I talk about every day is the election reform that Trump is putting in, that they're talking straight out, that you have Bannon, Lilly at TPAC talking about Trump's going to run at 2028. The fact that Vance come out on Blue Sky, not even Twitter, on Blue Sky with a hat saying Trump 2028. That you have Stephen Miller on Fox every day talking about the immigration laws and how they're going to use ICE and how they're going to abolish, early voting and, change, now they're going to Texas and they're getting more congressional seats. They're trying to, break up the map. So that is what is the most important part when it comes to our democracy right now, to have our votes counted, to be able to not be scared to go vote, to be able to have a fair election when it comes to 2026, to
Yep.
be able to start holding them accountable to what's going on. So that those, like Michael says, 100% important. But with that said, I always say that we always have to take the opportunity when we have it. And yes, I agree with you, Michael. There might not be no smoking gun in those files when it comes to Trump, because one of the things that they're talking about is a client list. And I never believed that Trump was Epstein's client. I don't think Epstein had to get Trump girls, or I think Trump didn't have a problem himself in the 70s, 80s,
Mhm.
and 90s with his lifestyle, money, and everything to be able to pay or get or do whatever else anybody else did. I think, there's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to Epstein. Yes, those people that raped, those people that dealt underage girls, they need to get prosecuted. I'm more concerned about, I don't even give a shit about Donald Trump when it comes to that. I care about every single person that was part of that whole Epstein cabal that abused women, young girls, underage girls, and all of that, because we know for a fact with all the payment settlements that we have a lot of victims. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we definitely need to find out if other countries were using, if Epstein was an asset for other countries, you going in here, blackmailing American citizens and others for other country. Again, that shouldn't have any reflection on any relationships we have with countries now, unless it's happening now, because there's things that happen and go on during different administration as different presidents and different things, but we have a right to know that. So I think that the way I'm going to end it off on that, Michael, as far as Epstein goes, as far as Trump goes, I think they're both sleazeballs. I think they both definitely have an interpretation when it comes to women, people of color, people of lower degree, lower financial. They look at it differently. Just from the way I know Donald Trump, and not only Trump but others in his sphere that think the same way, look down and everything. So I think they're disgusting. And I don't need a smoking gun. And that's why I tell to everybody, I don't care if there's a smoking gun. I don't care if there's, I don't believe, like you said, that there's an actual smoking gun of Donald Trump doing something illegal. And this is all about that. That's why I say, don't believe the hype. I think it's more to that. I think there's other things that are involved in there. And we still need to get to the bottom why he chose to do it, because for whatever reason, it was extremely important. It doesn't matter if he's on the list, if it was for Bibi
To me, it
Netanyahu, if it
matters,
was,
though, Lev. To me, it matters
no,
if he's on the list. To me, it matters if
no,
he's not on the
of
list.
course, no, yeah, no, he's
To a whole slew of you who are like Allison, right? Ramsey, quit defending him. I need to be very clear and I want you to take the wax out of your ears and listen to me very carefully. Why facts matter, and they should matter to you as well. Whether he's guilty of this or not doesn't make any of the policies by his executive order any better. All right. I still believe that his immigration policy or his mass deportation now policy is inhumane and grotesque. I believe that the withholding and the pausing of the military aid to Ukraine is abominable. I believe that these tariffs are stupid. I believe the fact that sending a letter to a country is not equal, for example, to a trade deal. There's a lot that I believe. But as somebody who also went through this, somebody who, based on like the Christopher Steele, that piece of shit document, the Steele dossier, that had me in it more than anybody else, 11 times, 11 allegations against me. Not one of those allegations are true. I've never been to Prague. I never went to Prague with 10 million in cash. I never went to Prague with 10 million in cash to meet compromise. I never went to Prague with 10 million in cash to meet compromise to pay them off to protect Paul Manafort. I wouldn't pay 3 cents to protect Paul Manafort. I don't own a dacha, a property next door to Putin in Sochi. I've never been to Sochi. I've never been to Russia either. All right. It's all horseshit. And what happens is the conspiracy theories start to fly around. And I'm saying, even though I gave them my passport and showed them that I was not out of the country, they didn't care. Even though I showed them I was in Los Angeles with my son, who was trying out for USC, the Trojans baseball team, that didn't matter to them. My point that I'm trying to make, facts matter and truth matters. And we as a community should want the truth because it doesn't mean that Trump is a good president simply because he wasn't involved in the underage sex. It doesn't mean that he was not involved. I don't know. But that information is sitting in a file that's on the attorney general's desk that Donald Trump can go ahead and have released tomorrow so we can put an end to this conversation and our beliefs. Because whether I believe yes or no is irrelevant. Whether you believe yes or no, it is still creepy, but you don't know who the creep is.
But Michael, we do know who the creep is. Donald Trump is right now.
I'm talking about for this Epstein matter.
Right. No, I know, but I'm saying to you, but Donald Trump right now has been found guilty of being a convicted, not adjudicated, not convicted, but he was adjudicated. What's the right terminology? To be a sexual predator.
No, he
And
was
he
convicted of. He was convicted of it.
he was convicted. Okay, so I just want to use the proper term. So he's a convicted sexual predator. So we know that Donald Trump is a sexual predator. What I'm saying to you is, if tomorrow the Epstein case came out and all of a sudden there was evidence there that showed Donald Trump was more of a sexual predator, I'm saying to you, nothing would change down. No, you wouldn't be able to indict him, take him off. I mean, he's the president of the United States. There's nothing that could happen to Donald Trump. What's it called? So what I'm saying to you is, I think it's more important for us to not so concentrate, my opinion, on Donald Trump, because we know he's garbage. We know he's a sexual predator. He's a convicted felon. He's a liar. He's a narcissist. He's a authoritarian dictator right now. We know all these things that Donald Trump is. Those are facts. What I'm saying to you is what the Epstein files should release, and what I think he's covering up is all the other people, all these other pieces of shit people out there that did these crimes. That because like the one other thing there that we don't talk about is Alina Haba. Alina Haba, who's Donald Trump's attorney, you know very well who Alina Haba is. She, when literally when Pam Bondi came out and said that she had the list on her desk, Alina Haba, who is an attorney, came out also on TV because it was an organized, planned attack, and she said that she knows that the lists are there. They know hundreds of people that are going to get prosecuted, and that they're just a matter of time. So, besides what Pam Bondi said, Alina Haba came out and said that there are people that are going to get prosecuted. So, what I think is, I truly believe that, and I'm still trying to get to the bottom, because I agree with you. We need to get to the bottom no matter what.
Yes,
We need to know the truth. That we agree 100%.
we deserve to know the
We
truth.
deserve to know the truth. But I think for the purpose for this conversation, because yes, in an overall normal, I agree with you, facts. But when it comes to Donald Trump, I think me, you, the whole world factually know that this guy is garbage, and that we need to move, try to get him off as quick as possible. It doesn't matter what's in that Epstein list or not Epstein list. We need to use it to our advantage.
Meanwhile, you know who's pissed off more than I think more than the bunch of what do you call it? The bunch of haters here in our room. The one who's really pissed off is this Nick Fuente. I mean, holy shit. Nick Fuente, who is a major Trump loyalist, he was, I mean, there's so many stories about, Nick Fuente. I mean, many of you probably know who he is. If not, Google him. He came out attacking Trump, I mean, vociferously all over social media, going on television, the whole nine yards. Wants to see this file, cannot understand why the president refuses to release it. Um, and let's hope, I'm hoping that at some point in time that the pressure that MAGA is placing on, MAGA is an interesting sort of scenario because it is a base, as I wrote in my Substack, it is the base that people like Steve Bannon, that people like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Dan Bongino, this is what gave them their their fame, right? Is that MAGA fury. What they're doing now by going out there and attacking Trump, all right? The interesting thing is they're not doing it, right, for no reason. They're doing it because they themselves want to take over MAGA. As I said, Steve Bannon, who thinks that he's the architect of MAGA, wants to be the king. He wants to be the kingmaker. He doesn't see himself as the number two guy, right? He sees himself as the number one. And he's already in his mind envisioning what color drapes that he wants in the Oval Office, because he wants to be the guy who controls that 36, 38% of the Republican Party. It's very interesting. They're all vying for that top job.
100%. And the funny part is they all hate each other's guts. They're all turn on each other in a heartbeat. They all are, will go after each other. Like, but so it's going to be interesting. But the one other thing I want to mention, I know somebody mentioned here that I don't know if you saw, that they finally have announced that Trump is not totally well. I know what they said with the veins, the vascular problem. It's not something that's serious, if that what they're saying. But do you believe that it's not as serious as that they're saying? Because what I mean, the mental decline is definitely. I mean, just take a look at what happened yesterday, Michael. I mean, he was sitting in the Oval. They asked him about he couldn't remember that he's the one that put Jerome Powell in there. I know he lies and makes up a bunch of stuff, and that I agree with you that he does that when he tries to make himself like a big shot. What's it called? But what about literally going out there and forgetting that he's the one that put Jerome Powell in there to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because then what he did is he actually corrected himself right after. And then he said, but kept him going. What he doesn't seem to understand is, what do you call it? Joe Biden, no more than Trump, has the ability within which to fire him. That is a job for a certain number of years, and you cannot fire him. No different than you can fire a Supreme Court judge or a federal court justice. So yeah, it was a gaffe. Do I think it is a mental decline? No, I don't. Do I believe what they were saying about his vascular issue? I do. In fact, I have personal knowledge of it because I suffer from it. I was 39. I almost died of what's called the DVT, a deep vein thrombosis. It's why I'm on blood thinners. Trump does not have, according to Caroline Levitt, DVTs or even what's called SVTs, which is superficial vein thrombosis. I'm an expert in this because I actually need to have the vein taken out of my leg. They're going to have to butterfly it and take it out, which is going to be painful, and I'm not going to be able to walk for a while. And so I'm stalling, but I do need to have it done. Could it kill you? Sure. If you end up with a DVT, a deep vein thrombosis, what happened to me is it shot off a blood clot. The blood clot, fortunately, I know this is going to sound crazy, fortunately ended up in my lungs. I had 3 clots in my lungs that shut down my lungs. I stopped breathing, which is why I ended up in the ICU. If it goes to your heart, all right, that's a stroke. If it goes to your brain, it's an aneurysm and you're dead immediately. So, yes, it's very serious. Now, do I buy the story about the aspirin regimen, which is what was causing the black and bluing on the hand? Absolutely not. An aspirin is a blood thinner, but in comparison to what I take, right, which is a blood thinner, you see any black and blues on my hands? The answer is no.
I take an aspirin every day.
Yeah, I mean it's nonsensical, it's stupid, and so it's just a way of trying to explain away a story and believing that you're dumb enough to buy the bullshit because they say it. All right. We will never know because of HIPAA violations, even though, as president of the United States, we should know. We should know the medical condition of a 79-year-old president. All right. Plain and simple. It should be released. But the only thing that we end up finding out is, yeah, he has something which, by the way, many people have. And she's right. Anybody over the age of 70 generally has something similar. But my point is, there's he's not 6'3", he's not 215, and aspirin did not cause that to the hand. And Amy, if you don't like what it is that I'm saying, yes, Lev is always able to jump in. Lev and I go back many, many years. If you don't like what I'm saying, please leave this community. I don't care if you do. All right? I don't care if you do. Is there something specific that I cut Lev off that you would like to hear? Is Amy related to you, Lev? I never
No,
seen anybody fight for you so much.
I don't know what we were talking. So, see, these are delayed because what happens is we were probably talking in somewhere in the subject, but because the messages are delayed, you're seeing it now to when it happens. So it's hard to say. Substack is a little messed up with that.
Yeah, I hate that. By the way, did you see I was a Jeopardy question yesterday?
No.
Yeah, I was. Me and Mike Sorrentino, the Sitch. Obviously both of us were in Otisville at the same time. We were table mates. So they that was the question. Who was with Mike the Situation at Otisville, also known as the Fixer? And that was the answer. I'll send it to you. A bunch of people sent it to me yesterday. So I felt very, very privileged as now the second time being a Jeopardy answer.
That's definitely a fear.
you know. So Lev, let me let you, on behalf of Amy, who I don't know, either it's your girlfriend or a sister or a cousin,
Stop,
or,
stop,
or so
stop,
it's got to be somebody protecting you from Big
stop,
Bad Michael, right? Let
stop.
me let you do me a big favor, brother. Take us home.
First of all, Amy, I love you. Don't let Michael intimidate you. It's all a matter. We're here to debate, and thank you for standing up for the law. I love it. But anyway, listen, guys. Today, first of all, I want to, before we even finish up, I just quickly want to remind everybody, today is a Good Trouble Day. Today is the 5th anniversary. Congressman Lewis passed away 5 years ago. He was known for his major statements. Let's get into some good trouble. Today is the day. Right now, we have protests happening around the country. It's not as publicized for some reason as No King's Day was. No King's Day, there was more publicity. There was more people involved. But I think it's extremely important for us to step it up today. So if you're not protesting, if you're not around, and if you're going to be around between 6 to 8, I'm going to be speaking here in Palm Beach County. I'm going to be streaming live on Substack. There's going to be a panel there. We're going to be talking about from election reform to women's rights to our constitutional rights, everything that Congressman Lewis stood for. So let's remember him and his memory today. Let's all of us go cause some good trouble, and I mean good trouble trouble, don't do anything to get yourself in real trouble because, it's a fine line with Donald Trump today. With that said, I want to thank all of our subscribers that are here, that follow me, Michael, Malcolm, that support what we do because, as Michael says all the time, there is nobody out there on Substack that could give you the information. You might agree with some of the things Michael or I say, you might disagree. The one thing you could see, this is not an echo chamber. We here, you have real conversation, you have real debate, you have real opinions about things. And the beauty of it is you guys could get there and see the real inside look behind MAGA, because you're looking at two people that were the originators of MAGA. You're behind the scenes of Donald Trump, behind the scenes of a lot of people in the administration. And with Malcolm's, once he's done being a spy for wherever he is, but with his knowledge and and what's happening around the world right now, the combination is great. We are speaking to some people, not the DNC, because the DNC is, unfortunately, like I said, nobody's reached out. You guys are megaphones. So I would ask each and every one of you right now, go call your congressmen, senators, and you know what, better yet, while all of you, let's have some fun. Send a letter or call Congressman Raskin, because I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. coming up at the end of this month to get my Pillar Award. Michael, I was going to call you and actually ask you if you might want to come and join me. I'd like to set up a meeting with Congressman Raskin.
My relationship with
Yeah, no, I know. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying to you. I want not only him, but maybe some others like Rokana and others that
Eric Swalwell,
yeah,
Steve Cohen. Sure.
exactly. And talk about and talk about exactly what we're saying, that how we could utilize our information, utilize what we know, how we know, especially at a time like this, because their messaging, especially during the Epstein stuff, their messaging right now is not, again, they're going to lose the momentum. I think this is the key moment. So you guys out there, there's almost 2,000 of you right now. Spread the message. Call the congressmen, call your senators, tell them about that we need to get on the road. They need to get in touch with us. They need to listen to our message. There's nobody else out there that knows these people, Mega, Donald Trump, his inner circle like us. And with that said, for those of you that subscribe and are paid subscribers, thank you very much. We love you. Your support means everything to
For
us.
my paid subscribers, 8:00 p.m. tonight, I'm doing a live Q&A. But also, by the way, both Lev and I have New York Times best-selling books. Lev, your book is Shadow Diplomacy. If you want to get Lev's book, DM him. You could DM him on this platform, mine. It's called Revenge. Mine is actually the limited signed edition one. It's not the ones that you can get on Amazon or anything like that. If you want to get Revenge, which, by the way, like Lev's, like mine, it gives you a much better understanding into the stupidity and the shit that's going on right now in DC. So if you want to get it, DM Lev or DM me for it. Thank you all very, very much. At 4:30, I'm going to be with my co-host, Ben Mycelis of the Midas Touch Network on YouTube. We're doing our political beatdown. So if you can, if it's not a subscription sort of base, you just go on. You can check it out. Always a lot of fun. But Lev, great seeing you. You know what? This was so good and so much fun. I'm thinking maybe we should oust Malcolm. I'm almost thinking.
Nah, he's our brother. We'll give him. He's somewhere out there right now trying to get on. I know.
I know he texted me. He has no Wi-Fi.
I got you. He's still in
Lev,
Paris, probably.
it's good to see you, brother. And you know what, people? I just want to say one last thing on behalf of Lev and myself. We may not agree on everything. We're not supposed to. There was a very famous quote. I say it all the time, and I'm going to say it again. Ed Koch, the very famous mayor of New York, used to say it all the time. If you agree with me 6 out of 12 times, you should vote for me. If you agree with me 12 out of 12 times, you should see a psychiatrist. All right? And he's right. You're not supposed to agree with us on everything. Understand, though, we are all in this fight together. We're in the fight for our democratic republic. And one of the things that we ask you to do, we ask you all the time, share this with your family. Share this with your friends. Share it with your neighbors, your coworkers, your postman, with everybody. Share it with strangers in the street. We must, as a community, grow. 13, 1,500, 2,000 people, not enough to make the difference that we need. So please do something. Help to grow this community. It's your community. All right. It's your community as much as ours. Thank you all for being a part of it. And Lev, great seeing you. I'll be calling you in
You
a
too,
little
brother.
bit.
You got it, brother. Take care. God bless you guys.
Later, pal.